will need to follow my voice as it leads you into a relaxed state of meditation.
Welcome to the Hobby Grow podcast. I'm your host, Ben Owens, hobby grower and ghostwriter for the cannabis industry. Each week, we'll dive into my network of growers, hash makers, breeders, and mentors to give you insight into their journeys as growers, plus information you can use to grow better weed and make better hash at home. Hit subscribe, roll something up, and let's get into it. This episode, we are joined by Sonoma Sungrown, home grower and hash maker out of Sonoma County, California. Sonny's been growing in NorCal since 2007 and outdoors since 2020. And he's been making hash at home for the last 3 years. Sonny and I first met through his podcast, The Homegrown Hashishin, an extension of the Homegrown Hashishin Society in Discord. Sonny's been curating a community at the intersection of home growing and hash making and attracting new makers with actionable advice as well as advanced makers looking to pay their experience forward. I asked Sonny to join me today to talk about his journey as a hobby grower from indoor to outdoor, the path of the home hash maker, live resin versus live rosin, as well as heating, cures, jams, plating, and more. Sonny, how's it going?
It is going all right. Enjoying my Monday. How about you?
I'm doing well, man. I saw you had a big harvest recently.
Oh, I do. Yeah, the freezer's full and moods are high around here. Just can't wait to get the weather a little bit colder so I can start washing it, because now it's that nervous time where I've got a bunch of fragile flour in the freezer, so I've got the battery backup pack in front of it and all the other stuff to try to protect it. But yeah, you're kind of we're at the mercy of PG&E and its whims in California, unfortunately. So hopefully they don't screw anything up before December.
Yeah, I lost the freezer. Thankfully, I mean, not thankfully, It sucked, but thankfully it was not fresh frozen and it was just the head stash. There's could be worse. So
salvageable.
Yeah, I can appreciate the backups there and also the anticipation because you've been building out your hash lab all year.
Oh yeah, I 100%. I spend 10 months of the year gearing up for the other 2 months. It feels like from a hobby standpoint. So, that's where it's at. Like the growing thing is all, of course, that's fun in its own right? But getting to the hash making part is really, I think the deeper I get into it, I enjoy it more and more and more. Just the granular nature of extracting resin and having a clean product at the end is just really satisfying. So that's really all year I look forward to the December now, which is kind of fun.
Okay, so you're not even gonna wash until December?
Mm-mm.
Oh wow.
Not typically. I mean, maybe I sneak something in into October, early November if we have a cold snap, but okay. I like it down in the 30s and 40s at night when I'm washing around here.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to handle. You can wash up to 55 degrees pretty well. I think a lot of people can turn their ACs down in their house and make it work, but out in the garage, it's just a matter of me waiting for the time to get right and then going after it, and which is fine because I'm only outdoor. All I do is outdoor season now instead of doing indoor like when I started. So it isn't that big a deal to to have that happen.
Just one big dedicated time versus every few months.
Sporadically through the year. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, when I got it started, I mean, we can dive in there.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's back up a little bit since we're talking about now. And so how were you introduced to growing and what started that trend, and then work us through some of those pivotal level ups from then to now.
Mm-hmm. So for me, the cultivation thing and the gardening thing, I think is just in my DNA. My mom's whole side of the family is farmers in the Midwest, and my other grandfather, who wasn't a farmer, was a hardcore gardener, and I always had his garden over at my parents' place. So my job in the summer, a lot of times I'd help him out, and so I had a lot of good vibes and good bonding time with my granddad that I remember was spent in the garden, and so I think a lot of that took hold. I got to after I got married. Now I'm fairly old. I'm in my late 40s, right? I'm gonna call it late, not mid anymore. But in about 2007, 2008, I was, living in the Bay Area for a while and had been able to go to the dispensaries and that stuff and getting unbelievable product we were getting here from Mendo and Humble at our dispensaries in NorCal. It was just ridiculous,
Just spoiled.
especially in North Bay. And we were spoiled. But I was like, oh, it'd be so cool to learn how to grow my own and to do that stuff. And I had an earthbox garden going on our patio at the time and all this stuff. So I started looking into it. And I'm like, how could I keep something really, I wasn't wanting to be like out there with it yet. I wasn't ready. I was, young in my career and everything. So I'm like, how do we keep this low key and have it be a thing where nobody's going to freak out about it? So I was learning, reading the old, Cannabis Grow Bible and some of that old stuff. But I ended up settling on a thing. There was a company, and they may even still be around, that was called Super Closet. And they made it looked like an old metal kind of like a cabinet that you'd have in your classroom growing up, right? But they'd retrofit the thing to hold an old HPS hood with a ventilation unit in it. And it had a separate clone chamber. And then it had a custom built DWC kind of thing. I call it deep water culture. It was really shallow water culture. The shit was only like 7 inches deep probably. But what it allowed me to do, the whole thing was, I think, 48 inches tall, 48 inches wide, and 2 feet deep. But what it made me do was like think about like how to keep things vertically in check early on. I had to grow like small plants. So some of my first plants I was growing were some standards that were around here. I got some GDP and a couple of those things going in the tent, which was pretty fun. But I ended up going in and getting some seeds and started fucking around with autoflowers. And we're talking like 2009, maybe something like that.
Like lowrider.
I grew the original lowrider, right? Like that was, and it tasted horrible. It was like it was like chewing on a log. It was not good. It got you high. It did that. Yeah. But it was really cool. It was probably about 18 inches tall is all it was. And I grew a couple other like autocrosses too. They were great to keep small, but eventually I stayed with the photo periods for the most part until later. But yeah, like so I ran that setup for several years, graduated to a tent, did that for years, and then things got busy for me professionally, and I just took a few years off. But I was just checking back in my photo library, and around 2017 is when I dusted everything back off. And in 2017, that's when I bought my hash washer too for the first time. So now that was not a deep dive into hash making. That was me. I was watching just the videos a little bit ago. I had way too much ice in the washer. I was doing all the stuff wrong that you like do wrong. Like, I got to knock those heads off with ice.
Yeah, you got to beat them up, man. That's the only way to get them off.
You got to beat them off there. But it was enough for me to kind of get to wet my beak. I moved from that eventually to around 2020 during the pandemic. We had gone traveling for a bit and came back. And I decided when I was gone, I was like, I'm done with this indoor stuff. Like I want to like grow under the sun. We're blessed to have this really beautiful place. And we've got a great house here with a yard and neighbors that are cool. And we're really, really fortunate. So I was like, it'd be cool to have a couple of plants in the backyard. And so I put my first couple of plants out there, and instead of growing, 18-inch stumps in my little closet, I was growing 8-foot trees, and that was a unique experience. So then I had way too much bud for my own good, even after a couple of plants, but that was really fun. And and outdoors, of course, is a completely different state of mind in how you're operating, because like indoors you're looking at perfection, and outdoors I feel like you're looking at progress is all you're looking for all the time. So are things moving along? Are things good? You're going to have pests. Like indoors, you can keep things sterile. You might be able to avoid not have a single insect ever land on your plant. That will not happen outside. Like shit is going to land on your plant. There is going to be a battle going on in it, and it's a war of attrition. And you get better, and we can get into detail about all that stuff later, but you get better and you improve and you learn more about your environment, and then you kind of get better and level up as you go. And I think that there's something really rewarding about partnering with nature to grow your medicine versus salts and inside and that. And I'm not hating on anybody for doing what you got to do. You can grow fire inside, and I did for years, right? But I think there's something genuinely magical about sun-grown weed. I just think there's
I grow
something.
salt indoors, just with LEDs, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean,
but if I was outdoors, it would be a different game.
yeah, I mean, shit. I mean, I've used salt. I used salt outdoors my first run, and I grew monsters, and everything was beautiful and chunky. And the organics I grow, like sometimes there's hiccups with that, or you're learning new things, or like stuff. But like, man, if you want to grow some beastly plants, like put a 30-gallon outside and some soil, and God, hit it with a GH2 part or something. I don't know. Like, it's not a big deal, and you can grow fire. And I still think the sun pays dividends in terms of like, there's a lot we can do with these LEDs these days, but you can't mimic nuclear power, right? Like, there's something straight up, and there's something. It's funny because I'll get comments on our Discord. I'll get comments about like, oh, you're not going to defoliate. There's no point, because there's so much light penetration that if you were measuring the strength of the light's the same at the bottom of the plant as is the top of the plant, because the moon is, or the sun is, I don't know how far away. It's not going to make a difference. You're a couple of feet of plant. So it's just been it's just a whole different state of mind, but has been very rewarding, and I think given me kind of a North Star about what's important to me with cultivation going far. Yeah.
Okay. So has that changed at all now that you're essentially growing for resin, or do you keep flower still, or is the focus now exclusively for resin?
The only flower I smoke is given to me by people that are probably better at growing that flower than I am. That's it. And like, everything I grow goes into the freezer these days. For the last 3 years, that's been the case. And I no regrets on that. And this will be my probably most stacked harvest ever in terms of everything got to the finish line. And so, I'm stoked. And I got some hitters in there too. So proven hitters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of the thing I think with community for hash is so important, is like, if you start off with something that's a kick in the pants, like you get a ghost wash, a 0%er, and like the bags are empty, and you just wasted 1,000 grams of good bud.
Yeah.
That's disheartening. And they're like, what did I do wrong? Well, you probably didn't do anything wrong. It just wasn't a hasher. And so, genetics are everything. That's going to be the biggest thing I learned probably in the process of hash making. It's genetics are everything.
Yeah. I mean, we could go so many ways with this, but yes, it is absolutely the make or break, I think. And also, like, if you keep a stable of genetics around, like, understanding that what it takes to keep them at that same level, level of vigor and health and everything else. Because speaking personally, like when I made the switch from salts to organics, I chalked up my low yields and all the struggles that I had to, well, I'm new to organics, so I'm clearly fucking something up, and it's not anything else. And then, found out months later, after 3, 4, 5 cycles, that no, it was HOV, and it was probably rampant in the soil bed. So like, like understanding all the different aspects of your cut.
Yeah, it's exactly right. I mean, and just understanding those genetics and how they operate within your terroir, right? Like, so I don't care if we're talking tent terroir or we're talking about like Sonoma County's tent terroir, right? Like, but I think understanding how those genetics act inside of your environment is unique. And it's like the same way you can take, if we're talking like wine, the wine industry is big around here. There's like 3 people here, like, okay, Pinot Noir, right? Well, think about that like it's Super Booth, okay? Or Blockberry, okay? And Blockberry has like several different cuts of it. It's got Zebuth out there from Trichome Tortoise. It's got Super Booth out there, and it's got Blockberry cuts all over the place. So there's 3 main clones of it. Well, they're all Blockberry, right? Pinot Noir operates the same way. There's 3 main clones that operate and or get planted around. But you take that same, like a Pommard clone, and you plant it on one side of the hill versus the other. The difference in the flavor and the end product wine is remarkable. And it's not necessarily one's going to be necessarily way better than the other, but the characteristics of the actual juice end up different. And I think with cannabis, we're starting to see that as cuts have proliferated, especially with the farm bill, like having opened the floodgates to like for the plant to move freely about the country on Southwest Airlines. It is absolutely obvious that there's a terroir thing going on. Like some of the outdoor stuff that comes out of Humboldt and Mendo will have completely different terp profiles on the same cut as someone that grew in the tent or grew even living soil indoors. It's really incredible. So yeah,
yeah, I mean, I've heard that about cuts even within California, like cuts grown, in the Bay versus grown up in Humboldt, or
huge difference. I mean, you're talking about the difference in like how temperature rises every morning. It's kind of like, it's interesting, like the French think about that with again, back to, not to talk too much about wine here, but there's a lot of analogs, right? But they talk a lot about how there's, how do I describe it? There's a situation with wine where it continues to like evolve. It's like basically the wine is like the telling of a story that happened that year, of like a drought that happened or some sort of pest that came through, or like there was a reasonable drought and then a lot of rain at one time, and every single one has different, and then it ends up giving this thumbprint, this fingerprint to that vintage that makes it different than every other vintage. So not just you have the variables of your place, but now you have the variables of the weather for that particular year that are going to be affecting how those terpene profiles and stuff. It's like same thing that causes flavor and odor and all that stuff. Flavonoids and terpenes, same thing as wine, same thing as rosin.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The grapes that we're growing for.
And then even it's so crazy the amount of things that are similar though. Like the high-end grapes all get harvested in the morning. And if you've ever gotten good advice about when to harvest, it's before the lights come on, or if you're outside early in the morning before it heats up, while the sugars are still dormant in the plant, right? Like that's the whole idea. Well, where did they get that?
Well, from tomatoes and grapes and fruits.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes a big difference. That's one of those kind of dividers between a craft operation and a huge operation, is they can make decisions like that based on quality. Not about getting it out of there and turning the facility over as fast as possible.
Well, and the physicality of it. I mean, again, depending on the scale you're at, it wouldn't be possible to harvest in a short enough window.
No. Those scale equals fail, man. It just does.
It's just man, this is gonna air later, but I learned today that just under half of the Colorado dispensaries have been hit with a recall already this year. So
you're straight up, you're just playing Russian roulette going.
Basically, like it's safer to grow your own at this point. And that's a giant simplification, but if you are dedicated to doing this right, you can absolutely
and physically identify that there's mold in here.
Yeah. I mean, like there's a lot of testing arguments as to what is and isn't necessary, but generally speaking, I feel like home growers have chosen to do that often out of concern for what's going on at scale.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and I was talking about this, which leads into kind of where I wanted to go with this, one of the ways, but we were talking about this with as far as live resin and live rosin, how, when people started making butane hash, they weren't aware that the process of using solvents was cleaning up the hash. I don't want to say it was 100% clean, but it definitely helped mitigate a lot of the problems that may have been in that grow. And even like when I first grew and I got PM, people were like, "Oh, just blast it." Like the butane will kill the PM. You'll be fine if you're the one smoking it. Who cares? Yeah. Terrible advice. But
it was like a dirtbag cheat code.
Yeah, it was like, oh, it's not good enough for flour. Let's blast it.
And so make some sweet shatter, man.
Now that rosin is way more popular, like those same people with the same grows are like, well, fuck it, I'll just wash it. And I think that's leading to a lot of contamination for the end user. If you're not a clean grower, like it's gonna pass into hash. So, which brings me to live resin versus live rosin. What's your take on that?
I love live resin. And let me just say, I don't think that term should exist at all.
Oh boy.
Yeah, hot take. I think it's marketing bullshit, and it's meant to it's meant to freak people out and confuse them between live resin and live rosin. I think that's the only reason it exists, is to confuse people at this point and to make them buy like a solvent product.
Well, I mean, live resin preceded live
It did.
rosin.
It did. But let's talk at this point though, people don't know the difference between the two things. And if you explain, if I call, like, just say normal people I'm hanging around with that don't know any better and they've got a vape pen and they're asking me about it, or, we're having a conversation, and I'll ask them to see the packaging and like, oh yeah, the live resin. I'm like, that's butane hash oil. And in the moment they hear butane or they hear anything about a solvent, they get fucking freaked out by it. People don't like that, like that the solvent has interacted with their weed. Even people, I think that there at least there's a consumer that doesn't. So maybe me personally, I'd rather smoke like some wook skin and a little bit of dandruff off some guy, like out of his dreads. I'd rather have that in my shit than butane, because I don't necessarily trust the operators to purge things correctly and make sure that things are going to be right. Now, that said,
And you can't make
reputable,
BHO at home anymore, right? Like like
not
Colorado, you
legally.
can't. California, you can't.
No,
I don't know anywhere technically you
no,
can.
no, the big no. There's no way. There's no way. But lots of stories. It's funny. Our podcast, like the first season of it, ended up being everybody's thing was about how they open blasted in the first 6 months or something before they discovered rosin. Everybody has these open blasting stories. I never did, but
The
anyway.
first extracts we made were in Missouri in like 2010, 2011 with one of those plastic fucking PVC tubes called a honey badger or a honeybee or something.
Mm.
Wild. We were like, just keep the windows open. It'll be fine.
Oh my God.
I know. We're so lucky.
You just got lucky, and
Yeah.
then the thing, or just didn't get unlucky, maybe is the right way to look at it. But but for, I mean, properly purged BHO is amazing, and there's terps you can get, there's things you can get out of it that you can't get out of rosin. Like there's, I mean, certain profiles, lemon profiles and things like hazes, and yeah, exactly, like stuff I love. So I'm not afraid. And also when my head stash goes down, I'm not gonna lie, I can get BHO, really good BHO, for $15 a gram at the dispensary, like down the street. Do you know what I mean? Like that's their like store brand that's been well purged, that's like on point all the time. And I'm like, God, that's tough to pass up versus, 60 for a gram of rosin. So yeah, there's usually BHO season for me, and it's this time of year when I've lost last year's harvest is gone, and I'm waiting on this year's harvest to get processed.
Okay, so are you smoking diamonds or batters, or what do you?
Both. I don't really discriminate that. I like to like sample what's out there, as I'm a big like heat curing person, and I love messing with forms myself on the solventless side. So that's fun. I should note the other thing I did along the way, just in the field. Have you ever heard of a Source Turbo?
No.
So it's for making RSO. And it's basically a closed loop alcohol distiller for weed. So you make like a FICO quick wash, and then it'll like distill it, and it reclaims like 90% of the alcohol, which is really useful.
Super efficient, yeah.
Yeah, super efficient. But I was making like really, really amazing RSO stuff for a couple of years. I was taking, and before I got back into the hash thing hard, I spent a couple of years making tons of RSO and making edibles and doing all kinds of fun stuff with that. And
straight buds.
Yeah, straight bum. So I was putting straight buds in there like colas. I didn't give a shit, dude. Like, if I'm making it, I'm making
outdoor
it.
life.
Yeah, like everybody's laughing at my harvest because I take the top foot off of the whole plant, and then there's all this bottom stuff that just gets left on because I just don't give a fuck. As I think, like I only want the best stuff.
The freezers.
Yeah, I only want the best stuff in the freezer. That's it. So yeah, same deal with the RSO. It was like, well, if I'm gonna make RSO, I'll make whole flower RSO. So I made whole flower RSO. And yeah, it knock you on your ass though. Holy shit.
So you just put the Colorado cash to shame though, where like I put joints out like this. I mean, they're not gonna see this, but audio recording. There's like, a half inch to an inch. I was at a party in California, and a few guests were very shocked by how much weed was still in the joint. I'm like, there's nothing left in there. Like, don't smoke that. And that's the Colorado cash, but apparently California is like, we don't even harvest the bottom of the plant. Fuck that.
No. Well, everybody does, but the thing is, like, when you got limited, this is not a commercial endeavor for me. This is
Yeah.
just my head stash. So like, I'm like, all I want is
You're
the
like,
best
whatever.
stuff.
I just want the
And
tops.
and just the tops is more than I ever should go through. But I run out every year because I do too many science experiments. That's what happens to me. So this year it was the centrifuge got me. Yeah, so I'm out of product. I have a lot. I'm cart rich, unfortunately.
I get that. But it's nice also to be able to experiment, to have that freedom also.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But so do you lollipop your plants then, or you just let them grow like bushes and still only take the tops?
We grow them 70s porn style here, buddy. There's no trimming. There's
No
nothing.
trim, no work, just let that bush rage.
I'll clean up a little bit of the bottoms, like the bottom foot at some point, just to get stuff off of the pot and create room for me to water easily as they grow. But other than that, like I just let them do what they want to do. I don't even trellis. So this is interesting. So again, I'm like limited space, right, in terms of what I can harvest. So I do my legal 6.
Okay.
Yeah. So instead of doing
the first rule is we don't talk about plant count.
Oh, okay. Well, I do my legal 6 anyway.
Yeah.
I actually, I'm pretty hardcore. I'd hear that plant count like crazy because I just don't want any trouble in my life. But that legal 6, we work that thing back there, and so it's like I've got one that'll go into like a big hugel tank, like a big horse tank that's got layered soil that I've built over time in it, and that thing will get huge. And then the other ones this year I did in 15-gallon pots. I did my other 5 and 15s, and the reason was to purposely keep the size of the plant down. Like, so I'm not growing a forest back there and then just barely taking anything and wasting water and wasting resources on feeding a plant that I don't need, right? But the 15 gallons come with some challenges too, in that like I was putting 5 gallons of water through each of those. Like
every day?
Every day. Yeah. Like through flower and stuff. So the old back wasn't feeling great, because that's the other problem. I have a crappy water here in the city. It's like 8.2 pH, so you have to pH it down, and so like everything is hauling buckets. So that's my curse, is I'm hauling buckets outside until I can get my rainwater thing figured out.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I put 1,000 gallons of rainwater tank on my house like 3 years ago, and had 2 really great runs with it. And then last year had a rough run. And so I wasn't sure if it was a rainwater situation or a bad soil situation, but fortunately it looks like after doing I did 1 plant on the tank water this year and it went fine. So I think I'm thankful, because that means I don't have to pH next year, hopefully. I won't have the pH.
Check once or twice, maybe.
Oh my God, dude. And the thing is too, a lot of it has to do with soil volume outside.
Right.
Like,
well, you have a lot of buffer.
Right. If you're 30 gallons or above, the plant can do a good job and the soil can do a good job of buffering things to
I mean, you think about rainwater being often acidic, and dealing with that. And
yeah, but the problem is with 15 gallons ain't enough to do that. And I tried it this year and like for about 3 weeks and quickly got off that program and started pHing things, because it was, I did the experiment and it was not, I don't care how much, what I was adding for microbes, what I was doing with the hippie Jadam KNF stuff, like everything I was doing with there, like it wasn't responding. I was like, okay, it's a pH issue. And as soon as I switched to pH, everything was happy. So,
yeah. So you're KNF now, or you experimented in KNF?
Mostly Jadam at this point. Yeah. So I still do some dry amendment work. It kind of beginning of the year to kind of set the base soil. But in terms of feeding during the actual grow, it's all like Jadam liquid fertilizer, labs.
So like what, for the ignorant, and I consider myself among them because I've only done a little bit of research on this, but what is the difference between KNF and Jadam?
Okay, so KNF involves
KNF is Korean natural farming.
Korean natural farming, right? But which is actually taken from the Japanese, but that's another thing. But a Korean guy brought it over from Japan for the Koreans. So it's Korean natural farming. And then the son of the guy that created Korean natural farming created Jadam. Okay. The general concepts of them are the same. And the general concept is this: nature doesn't rotate crops. right? So like you like say a tree full of apples sheds all its apples, they fall on the ground and they rot. And then the tree grows again next year with a tree full of apples because all those apples rotted and fertilized it. And it's part of that soil food web, right? So basically, like, the plant has what the plant needs is kind of the idea behind all those things.
Okay.
So, so what you're trying to do is, as a farmer, what we do is we take stuff from it. Like, so we take half those apples or all those apples. Well, what's there to feed the fertilizer, to feed the ground? Well, commercially, we've gotten into, you have to put fertilizer on it, and you have to spray stuff, and you have to do all this other crap. But what was done throughout human history is a little bit more clever. So they take, in this case, let's say, I'll just use, and I should say Jadam is kind of where I've headed because it's easier, it's less messy. It's nothing I have to really do in the house, which makes my wife happy. And it smells absolutely putrid. It's horrible, but like you learn to love it. And the thing is, so with Jadam, and I just think the easiest way for me to explain it is just how I use it.
Okay.
So like, for instance, this year, I got done, I was just telling you how I only cut down the top foot or
Yeah,
foot
it was
and a half
immediately
of those
like the
plants.
apple tree. It's the apple tree.
Right. Well, I've got all that bud left on there. So what I did off my super booth plant this year is I bucked all the rest of that bud off that I wasn't going to put in the freezer, and I stuffed it into a 5-gallon bucket and filled it with water. And then,
Okay.
and what happens is, and then with a little bit of leaf mold. So like, you go into a forest and you find that where the leaves are really deep, and you find that stuff where it's broken down and it's almost like dirt at that point. It's got
Okay.
soap. You drop a little bit of that in there with it and go away. Put the lid on it, come back in a week and watch what's happened. Like, you'll see this fungal network builds on it. Everything starts to rot. Basically what happens over the course of 2 or 3 months is it all breaks down and it creates liquid fertilizer wherever you put in there. So for flower, I use a combination of the flower, like I just said, from a cannabis plant, which makes sense to feed a flower to a flowering plant, right? Makes sense like that. That has what, it's Brondo, it has what plants crave.
You eat liver and it makes your liver stronger. So
Yeah, I mean, totally. So you feed that, and then the other thing I'll do is I'll grow comfrey, which is a really fast growing, just root vegetable. It's like a leafy thing, but it has incredible growth rates. So when it's growing fast, I'll cut it and stuff it in there with that. Well, guess what? That's going to be my veg transition fertilizer for next year because it's got vegging stuff in there and it's got a little bit of flower. So that's going to be my transition fertilizer. My
9 months to just ferment.
Yeah, it's just going to be sitting there until the spring and it won't see anything. It's just going to sit in that bucket and get better and better and better. Now, these buckets I've been using now for 3 or 4 years, and I work them all the way down to the very bottom, and then I repopulate them with the next year's food and fill it back up with water. So those microbes and stuff that are in there are continued to like populate and grow, and like the stuff just, if that stuff just keeps getting better. So for flowering, right? You think like flowering vegetables, fruits, that kind of stuff. So what I'll use again the flower from the cannabis plant. I'll use that, and I should say in the grow fertilizers, a lot of times I'll use leaves, cannabis leaves in there with comfrey. But for the flowering, I'll use the bud, and then I'll grow like a zucchini or two on my property and my garden, in my organic garden, grow a couple of zucchini or a couple of pumpkins or something like that, and then ferment that in there with it. And then that's my bloom fertilizer for the next year.
So like, this is insane. So like, basically 2 zucchinis, your extra flour, and some leaf mold is your entire nutrient stack.
Yeah, that's my whole flowering stack, is that right there. Yeah, that's it.
That's insane.
No, it's cool. And then, but there's other.
No, it is cool. I mean, it's insane to even think about. Like,
yeah, well, and the beauty of it is like the Jadam thing was all created to be low cost. So like everything you do is basically low cost agriculture. So like I probably spend $15, $20 a year on inputs and stuff.
You're reusing your soil every year too.
Yeah, I mean, I made Jadam wetting agent, which is like a soap, like a surfactant and soap product.
Yeah,
it's amazing for IPM. It's great as a surfactant and like just watering with it. I made Jadam sulfur, which is like a salt, like, and if you get the Jadam book, it's like they break down exactly how many, none of it is very difficult to do, but now I've got the sulfur that I can use as a pesticide during veg. And it's just, the plants just fucking love it too. They just like soak that shit up. It's like amazing. But the big thing, I guess, with KNF is you've got this toolkit of stuff, and you got your base fertilizers and, like, you know, calcium and a couple of these things with potassium that you want to add in. You can supplement the same way that you do with your bottles at the thing. It's just not as precise, and it's just not it's organic, so it's a little loosey goosey, right? But it's really simple. If you go to my website, sonoma.sungrown.co, I've got a KNF guide on there, and I actually did conversions for all these Jadam and KNF inputs, and like how much the dilution rate is them with water. So like I've got it to where one of that things of fertilizer, 1 cup of it goes into 5 gallons of water. Boom, there's your feeding rate. It's that simple. Yeah. 1 gallon into the water, mix it up, water, done.
So KNF is like a program versus Jadam is basically use whatever you have on hand and let it ferment.
KNF uses sugar, like brown sugar, to ferment things versus like Jadam uses just water and mold to like ferment and putrefy. You know what I mean? So it's like it's not using so much sugar. That's one of the things with the KNF thing is like it's sugary, it's sticky, it's kind of messy. There's nothing wrong with it. It worked great.
And you brewed it inside the house.
Yeah, and made all these other inputs and stuff, and yeah, that's just, you know, the Jadam thing is really, I've got in the fridge in the house, I've got like my labs, which is lactic acid bacteria you make from milk and rice water, which is amazing. Like the plants just like, it makes the plants feed amazing. I've got that and water soluble calcium. Other than that, all the shit is either in the garage or just sitting out underneath a tree and in like ferment mode. Like all the fertilizers sits outside in buckets under my redwood tree, and like that's where it sits all year. And I'll go out there when it's time to eat next year.
So I like so many thoughts, but like immediately, do you use your wash water and buds then as KNF inputs or Jadam inputs? So that's like you just fill buckets with that work material and then let it do its thing.
So the pina poppy plant that I grew this year in the Hugo beds was like a monster, and it was just majestic and beautiful, and everything about it was great. So my plan is I'll probably take 3,000 or 4,000 grams of that stuff of post weight after I wash, and I've got the waste stuff. I'll throw that stuff into the bucket and I'll ferment it like 100%. The wastewater is the waste stuff is the perfect thing to be feeding.
And so, because like Colorado being different, especially me being indoors and a lot of people here being indoors, like all of this sounds like a great way to bring a lot of mold and like potential contamination into my otherwise not moldy space.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
like, is there any, I mean, like that, and the whole Frenchie study about growing plants next to hazelnut, growing plants next to other trees, and pulling different mycological influences out of that. Like if you use the pina poppy and that's got heavy pineapple terps, is that gonna impact that or impart that upon other plants?
Not that I've seen anything where like terp profiles will influence it, but certainly, I mean, from a plant health standpoint, you can see the influence on something that was a really well done like plant, and then what happens the next year when it just takes off from being fed it. And now, so you bring something up. This is like,
specific.
Yeah. In terms of indoor, because this is one thing I've been wanting to do, and so like I don't do indoor anymore, and the main reason is that my lifestyle doesn't really afford it. I will leave here and travel quite a bit, and I don't have the luxury of maintaining a garden year round and maintaining cuts and doing all that stuff. So I rely on my friends quite a bit, when it comes time to plant. I forgot where I was going with that. Shoot. I'm sorry.
You're all good. Let me pull up.
Where did I lead into that?
Well, we were talking about strain specific
inputs. Yeah, strain
and indoors and using like
indoors.
bringing the mold and indoor.
So the one thing I've wanted to do is get back into doing indoor and see if it's possible to do a Jadam only indoor grow in pots, and to like what is the basis for that, and like how manageable is it? Because the fact is, like, there's different ways to deal with.
I'm sure it's possible.
Oh yeah, yeah, and like, but you talk about molds and sterility, right? Like that's kind of
Right.
where it's like life
The
doesn't.
sun is a massive advantage when dealing with certain things.
It is, and as is, like, if you've got pests, and when you're out in the open, the predators show up, and like it's just all the
Right.
balance of nature, right? But you're playing God inside, it's a little different. And if there's a predator, it's because you put it there. And like
Or
if there's
brought it
something
in. Yeah.
brought it in, yeah, like all that's going in. Well, I think in terms of mold and pathogens and stuff like that, the idea with Jadam and KNF is that you're like you're giving it as much microbe as you can and let them fight it out.
Okay.
And then the good ones win. That's what happens. Now, if you're in a sterile environment and you get a negative pathogen, now you can be fucking scared.
Right.
Because like there's nothing to compete with that pathogen at all. But if I've got a super healthy plant, that's what they say, like plant health is number one. A lot of that has to do with the soil food web and the health of the soil. And like if there's an active microbial situation, it's harder for a pathogen to take hold. They have to compete with these things
Absolutely.
that you've been feeding in your 5-gallon bucket that are just like they're like Arnold Schwarzenegger microbes that you can't fuck with that shit. They're all roided up.
Well,
ready
and the
to go.
plants are healthy, and like you have a stable environment. You have, all the other factors that would be necessary aren't necessarily there.
So the cool thing is, like, there's one of the things about it is the smell would be maybe a turnoff for people, because like to me it smells really good. Like when I open up one of those buckets, it's like it smells like sweet rotten goodness. But I'm a GMO guy, so you can take that for what it's worth. But like I love that smell of that stuff. But there is, for some people, I think that could be a drawback. But there's a thing called this lactic acid bacteria serum that you make labs, just with milk and with rice water, and you peel it off, and you're left with this serum to be able to feed the plants. And it basically makes the plants pick up nutrients really fast. It helps them cycle through the web. It helps everything work better. The other thing it does is it destroys odor. It kills it. So like if you kept on it with a lab regimen, I feel like you could do it indoor and not have it be a stinky mess. And I would love to at some point here in the next handful of years figure out some sort of a tent setup where I can screw around with indoor natural farming a little bit more. I don't feel like people have really scratched the surface too much on it. You do have, you got people though, like Trichome Tortoise is doing some KNF inputs with this, he calls it Turtle Tech. I don't know what the hell he's doing there, but like he's got some KNF stuff that he does. A lot of hash makers are doing some KNF and Jadam stuff mixed in with what they do as part of their regimen. But I don't know anybody that's like a resin farmer that's just straight up like, I'm doing KNF inside.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past a lot of people. I don't know. Like I feel like there's a big KNF scene in Oklahoma, and there's a big one in Denver. But also in theory, like in practice, it sort of goes against the motif, which is like sustainability and low cost. So like growing indoors is like immediately a no.
Hey, but at least you're not having to pay for your Floraflex, and you know what I mean? You're not having to pay for those inputs, and you're not having to pay for
but I'm just saying from in practice, like if that's your, like I've got a buddy in Hawaii who like just refuses to grow indoors. He's like, why would I do that? Like I like sort of to your point, I have a beautiful place to live with a great climate. Why would I grow indoors?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, cannabis is kind of that way. Like I think people have gotten this thing of indoor is quality, because we were all forced indoors to grow. And I mean, granted, you get the density and some of the stuff that goes on, like some of the stuff that you can do with indoor, but it's undoubtedly beautiful. But I can show you some light depths that would fool you into thinking it's indoor. I can take you to a farm in Mendo and show you some light depths that you'll be like, damn, that's an incredible indoor grow. And nope, that was depths. But I think there's something to the idea of growing under the natural sun that's just good for the soul. I think it's just like there's not taking. You fact that you're somehow part of the system that's happening. I don't know. I'm not a religious person, but it's as close as I get, is like trying to feel part of nature, and have my little part of caretaking it on my property.
So I am curious your take on this then, because I sort of lean, if I'm consuming flower, I want it to be indoor flower. But if I'm consuming hash, I don't necessarily have a preference, number one. And two, everyone seems to swear by this sun improves resin quality. Like there's no ifs, ands about it. There's a je ne sais quoi kind of thing. So that all combines in my head into the best possible is like light depth greenhouse in a fully controlled environment.
Yeah.
Is that like ideal? Like,
I think so, honestly.
Okay.
If I could have like a 10 by 20 light depth greenhouse in my backyard, I'd fucking have one. Like I'd figure out a way to build it and do it. Like an auto one where the shades pull back and all
right.
that.
It's like your own mini glass house kind of thing.
Exactly. Like a mini version of that would be so cool. But to me, like that's a pretty ideal setup. Like mixed light even is great because you're able to control the seasons and control the year and add light when you need to in the dead of the winter. But like shit, you got farms pulling 3 unbelievable depth harvests a year, some 4, running them through. Right. Incredible. And the quality that they're getting and the resin they're getting off of those is crazy. Again, it's like everything. You scale up, you're going to have problems, but problems happen outside.
Well, and on a home hobby level, like how high of a scale do you really need? Like you're already only chopping half your plants.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah.
So
yeah, if I'm ever cutting down the whole plant, something has really changed in my life. So
fair
and
enough.
I've probably got a lot more freezer space.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, like the argument is there to encourage you to, hey, go buy more freezers and don't waste that precious hash. Have more shit to experiment with.
Well, and I think to be able to provide half of the thing I love doing is giving away to friends and family. So so people I find it like, like we like my wife like plays a lot of tennis and stuff, and like people that she plays tennis with and stuff, like like one of my vape cartridges that I made, like people love getting tomatoes, they love getting weed way more.
Oh yeah, and especially in like an easy to consume format.
Yeah, 100%. Now I need
here's this gram of hash in a Myron jar. Like, thanks. What do I do with this?
What do I do with this? But and that's I think the future is like trying to get people transitioned off of the vapes and onto like something like a pivot or a proxy sort of setup where it's not intimidating, but they can still individually dose what they're trying to do and get a much better value out of it and not have some crazy Chinese like vape hardware that it's from unknown origin in between their lungs.
Yeah. It's funny, I've been percolating on a piece about this after talking to Chase especially, but just in general, I see like everything that we've done in cannabis as an industry has paralleled other vice industries. I'm not saying exactly, but generally speaking, we've paralleled things with prohibition, we've paralleled consumer trends. Like we went from super craft cannabis to more mass-produced cannabis, and we're trying to fight to keep craft alive, and all of these things that are happening in other industries. So looking at tobacco, I sent ChatGPT down a rabbit hole today and had it helping me with some of my hypotheticals. But the essence of it boils down to, if you look at tobacco, the rise of smokeless and the decline of cigarettes and actual combustion is very real. Like we're seeing this next generation of consumers as non-flower, non-combustible, non-herb, whatever you want to call it, consumers. They want they don't want to Q-tip the dab. They don't want to ash the joint. They want hit it, feel it, toss it.
I see that, and I'm wondering from a demographic standpoint, if I put my marketing hat on, I'm like, I wonder if the young people are maybe still smoking a lot of flower, and in the rise of vapes isn't a lot of the older demographic actually being early adopters because of how convenient the form factor is and how like discreet it is.
But also like high schoolers, and like not that any children should ever smoke pot, because nobody ever smokes pot in high school, but we've seen this like be a big thing. Vapes are increasingly appealing to younger generations because, again, like I had to hide a bowl in a pill container and airtight bag and throw it in the bottom of my trunk and
like,
hide
I
that.
think I still have a bong in my basement room at home at my parents' house in the ceiling somewhere. I think there's still a little weird bong up
It's a
there somewhere.
guest bomb.
I need to go find it now. And hadn't thought about that thing for 30 years. And I'm like, I need to find that.
You're like, wait a minute. You had that look on your face. I'm like, something just hit him. So
I just totally, I
you're
was like, wait a
"Ah,
second.
I
need to
see
hide
my
that thing."
bong.
Yeah. I
Oh,
had a
that's
little, I
great.
pushed the
Now
ceiling
you just
tile
put
up.
your vape away. Like there's no lighter, there's no bowl, there's no smell, there's no herb, there's no grinder, there's nothing.
Yep. Yep.
So
And so in that note, like as hash makers.
and for parents and things too.
Yeah. Like, but as hash makers, right? Like, I feel like, and as hobby growers in general, I think like we tend to be the people that your friends go to ask about things that have to do with weed. Like
Yeah.
you like there's this thing about being like, I was Neil Brennan talked about like the local all-stars, but to me it's like the in your own circle of influence, you're probably the cannabis person. Whoever's listening to this, you're probably the person that someone's like, I tried this, or they can't wait to show you their new cartridge.
Hey
or their
man,
new
I was
yeah.
Yeah.
They can't wait. Well, with that, like, what responsibility do we have in terms of educating people? So like, should I be like, oh, that's great that you got that vape or whatever, but should I like tell them about the fact what BHO is? Should I kill Santa Claus? Will that is that a worthwhile fight? Like, do I talk about like why solventless is better? Do I talk about why vape cartridges are bad and try to get them onto something else? This is all like,
no, it's a perfect, because it's like on the one hand you're like, I don't want you to feel bad that you just spent whatever $50 $80 on this product, and I'm not here to shame you
when there's straight up nothing wrong with it.
Right. You're like, it's and I don't know what they did. Maybe it's perfectly purged and all the things,
So my move is this. If I know it's BHO, I'm like, hey, and again, I like BHO. I do. So I'm like, oh, where'd you get it? And I'll figure out what brand it is and if I'm all right with it, like just general reputation.
Yeah.
So they got some steezy shit. I'm probably not going to touch it,
Right.
Like, yeah, I just took a shit on you, steezy. Deal with it. But honestly, like,
in case there was ever a chance of me getting them as a sponsor.
Yeah, it's gone now.
Gone now.
But I think I'm struggling with my words right now. As long as I'm able to try it, I can take a puff of it and say, hey, wow, that's really good. I'm with that. Whatever. You know what BHO is? It's actually butane. This is butane hash oil. They use butane extract. I'm like, it's totally fine, and I'll take another rip of it. So I'm not, oh, this is bad, don't do it. I'm just like, hey, just so you know, this is made with butane, and just so you know, the stuff I give you is made with ice water.
I'll do this with you, but it's not what I prefer.
Just so you know, I wouldn't prefer this. I would normally be like doing something that was made with ice water, right? Like it's like that soft,
it's
little nudge of
softer than like, ooh, I don't smoke BHO.
Hey, I don't do that. Like,
I
think you're just a douche.
It's hard though. I mean, it is, because it's like, at the same token, you want to be able to feel comfortable being like, no, I'm sorry, like I don't want that.
Yeah.
Like,
if I absolutely didn't smoke BHO, I probably wouldn't do it. But like I said, like for me, it's not a problem. I just want to like, what I'm trying to do is empower people to like feel like they can make good decisions and making like demystifying the plant a lot of ways. Like we've got so much stigma. And now we're in a place where like people casually sit around at the tennis club and just vape while there's tennis matches going on, and it's just like normal thing that people are doing. And like,
they're like, don't let it joint here, but you could easily,
vape is no problem, and everybody just socially accepts it in California now. Like no matter where you are, like it doesn't matter. You're in the middle of fucking airport, just take a vape drag. Doesn't matter.
You're in Target, whatever.
Does not matter at all. Like, it does not. Like, and so with that in mind, I think it's just, like we need to make sure that we're, thinking about the bigger picture, I guess, as ambassadors for the plant,
Yeah, I mean, I do know. And I do think that anyone who wants to know should know and should have the ability to know. But like what I have experienced and what I've sort of come to realize is you can lead a horse to water. You know, like I look at the coffee industry, I look at the alcohol industry, I look at tobacco, what have you. Like if you look at the majority of people, they don't care. They want what's cheapest or most convenient or most bang for their buck, even if they know the other product is better for them.
What's best selling ground coffee in America?
I don't know, Folgers.
Folgers.
Yeah.
Like, no, almost certainly Folgers. And like, you know,
Right.
Folgers, good enough cup of coffee. Like
Right.
that's for most people.
My
good
parents
enough cup
love
of coffee.
Folgers. They request it when they're here. I hand grind my beans every morning. You know, everybody's a little different.
Everybody's a little different.
But from
I guess,
that, that's weed. Like we can't expect more than a certain percentage to be interested in the grind your own flour, dab your own dab, whatever.
see, you say that, but then look at coffee and look how many like shitty coffee shops and diners and stuff there have been over the years. And then all of a sudden cafe culture took hold in the United States in a way that like Starbucks, yeah, sure, to some degree, like that was a lot of it.
Starbucks on every corner.
Starbucks in every corner. But even that, people willing to spend a little bit extra for a little bit better cup of coffee than they were getting before. And, you know, like I think.
Right, better than gas station coffee kind of thing.
Better than gas station coffee, but not as good as, you know, the French place on the corner.
Not the roaster that you have to sit and wait for it to pour through your cup.
Yeah, like they have to like put it through their neck beard first before
Little
they
drip.
Yeah, exactly. Percolate through their neck beards, whatever hipster shit they got going on. But yeah.
We're the hipsters. You know, that's sort of the point of this is like in the hash and weed space. If you're making your own hash at home, if you're growing for hash at home, you're the hipster in the coffee equation because you just know different things and you've seen different things and you care.
And so it's like part of it's, I guess, like knowing your audience then, right? Is like saying, okay, like this person likes the finer things or likes a better thing. Like, you know what kind of beer people drink or you know what kind of like people you're dealing with. Like you see what kind of decisions they'll make. Will they pay extra for a little something better? That might be the person that's worth spending a little extra time. Be like, you know why I smoke rosin instead of resin? Well, here's why, right? Like, you know why I do this instead of this? Here's why. Just food for thought. And they might take that versus someone that's just like, give me the highest THC percentage for the smallest ticket. And that's not that.
What's your cheapest pint on draft?
Here's the Folgers asshole.
Yeah, here's the guy who's like, whatever. Yeah, no, I think, but you know, it's a recollection or it's something that I think people have to realize in this space that a lot of people overlook and most of the people I talk to overlook, which is everyone's like, I want to be the premium craft cannabis brand. I want to only appeal to connoisseurs. I want to be the top of the top. And, you know, like that's great and admirable and all, but that's a very, very small piece of the pie that you're competing against some really good flour and hash and operators who don't really give a shit what state lines are and things like that.
I would, here's another shot fired. I'd argue that most of the cannabis companies, MSOs, anybody that's operating doesn't know their ass from the back of their hand when it comes to branding, because I don't think that any of them know who the premium consumer is at this point. I don't think any of them have figured it out. They've figured out a premium consumer, but they're still looking at this person in their 20s as the person that's doing it. No, guys, like the money's up top in the economy. Like you got to move to the older demographics where people have the resources to maybe buy a better thing. And but no, who's creating cannabis brands for people that are in their 50s?
Right. And well, I mean, and the
They
ones
should
who are appealing to things like Dadgrass and, you know, like Old Pal and like that whole, they're not appealing to like the guy who's got a wine cellar in his basement. That's not their target.
That's right. But the thing is, it could be if that's a crossover person. There's so much demographically about the users that we just don't know still. And like it's still, I mean, what Prop 64, so legal use happened here in 18 in California. So we're 7 years in and we just don't know shit about anything about the consumer, like other than the fact that they like vapes and they like pre-rolls.
Yeah. Well, and you know, certain things are more approachable. Like I think of the next generation of consumer, which usually the home hobbyist doesn't fall in.
No.
It's usually the more traditional consumer who's introduced through flower or through extracts. But you think of this next gen, you know, the person who's edibles only or vapes only or drinks only or all these things that are smell free, you know, socially acceptable, not secondhand high worrisome marijuana reefer madness
Hey,
tales, whatever it is,
drinks are the way in terms of introducing new users,
Yeah.
new consumers. As the onset is so fast with the nano-emulsified stuff. I mean, that thing of it hits you as hard, it's going to hit you in 15 minutes is so invaluable for people to have a good time on.
But see, like I see that consumer, meaning not somebody like you
Uh-huh.
or I who's educated on both sides of the pond, but like that consumer I don't see as a grower or a hash maker per se.
No, 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 no,
Maybe,
no.
but I don't see them going from like, wow, I tried a THC seltzer at the party to like, I want to make my own hash at home.
But that consumer might be the one that's willing to end up paying more for a better cartridge that's got better
Right.
hash in it.
Yeah.
Like, and that person might be the person that is a friend of yours that you can turn on to it, that would be into that wouldn't be in it. Just someone that appreciates a better thing,
Right. Yeah.
That's
Once you've seen behind the curtain, you start to your budget for everything starts to go up.
yeah, exactly. It's just
So
like,
on that, like talking about hash making, right? Like you didn't start making carts, like nor did I. Like it for me, it was the last piece of my sort of home supply puzzle.
yeah.
We have talked about this previously on a call that I didn't end up publishing because there are too many sensitive shots fired in between. But
As if we haven't fired any off here.
yeah, as if we haven't fired it. But at least this has the premise of you knew it was going to be public.
Okay.
But like the path of the hash maker and like these levels that you kind of work through as a hash maker. So for you, when you started, I guess like maybe when you started most recently and not like first time,
Yeah.
but like what did that like kind of first stage look like, and what prompted the jump? I guess like from just grower to like, hey, I want to try to make my own hash.
So I was working a little bit in the like doing graphic design work in the industry, the nascent like 17, 18 was doing work and starting to see the development of cartridges, of vape cartridges and that. And to me right away, I was just like, holy shit, that's the future. Like that's what it is. I want to know everything about this. And so I started diving into it. And that's when I got back into the hash making thing. That's when I kind of got back into all of it. And it's like, okay, how can I make the best possible? Like I just kind of went on a journey of like, how can I make the best possible vape cart?
Oh, so you went straight to carts. That was the goal.
Because for my marketing brain went off. And I was like, what, how can I, and then all along the way, discovered rosin, discovered dabbing, discovered all the other stuff. And obviously a superior method, but I came back around and it's like, in the end, I'm like, okay, now I've got this amazing rosin. Let's make some cartridges for people to enjoy and for me to take on airplanes and stuff, So like for those travel use cases, like that to me really got me going, which was interesting. But yeah, and in the end, I kind of came back to it because of, I think that's how I get to share my tomatoes with other people for the most part, Now I prefer to consume, but I think it's like, it's the future in terms of people accessing it. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to try to give medical advice, but I'd still say a clean produced rosin pen with decent hardware is going to be, I think, better for someone than smoking flower. And anecdotally, I'll say that. Because like I've been smoking flower for the last couple of weeks, and I gotta be honest with you, like I'm coughing a little bit more, I'm clearing my throat a little more, and I'm a heavy hash smoker that has no scratchy voice, that has no coughing, that has no people wouldn't even know that I smoked pot. Like
so I heard you saying this on one of the episodes, and I actually started going down this rabbit hole, and I made it a few days of hash only. It's hard because there's certain things where you're like, oh, it's a nice fall day, I'll go sit on the porch and smoke a joint. Whereas if I walk out there and have my whole setup and I fire the blazer up and I'm on the front porch, like some neighbors are gonna raise their eyebrows at what's going on. What's he freebasing on the front porch?
You need to live in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
My neighborhood's they probably just come over and what's that?
What are you smoking on this morning? But my point, like, you have mentioned the lack of certain symptoms, and so I'm on hash only today, for sure.
Think about it, just the basic of hash, of what hash is, right? So
right.
I take this biomass, this really well maintained, perfectly grown biomass, and I put it in the washer. And at the end of it, if I do pretty well, like 4 or 5% is what I'm left with. So I've gotten rid of 95% of the material that started is gone away. And then, so why am I smoking that 95%? Like,
Right.
what is the purpose of this 95% other than creating tar, creating other shit that's going to like screw with your lungs, you know? And to me, I just say anecdotally, I feel so much better after having switched to rosin only, and I should say solventless or extract only a couple of years ago. And every time I switch back to flower for more than a couple of days, I don't feel terrible, but I can just tell a difference, you know?
Okay.
Like, yeah, and I just find myself clearing a little bit more, and you know, it's just like I said, I'm not getting any younger, and so those things. It's funny. I maybe wouldn't have put that high on my priority list in my 20s, but here, staring at 50 in the face, I'm like, yeah, probably something to that, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. I
So
not dying is number one on my list every fucking day.
Yeah.
Every day. Don't
seems
die.
to be a common thread.
Yeah. I highly recommend that life choice for people.
So your first foray into making hash was for vapes. So what was your sort of,
It,
you know,
was,
like,
it was the idea of getting to vapes. It wasn't
okay.
for vapes. Yeah. It was the
Okay.
idea
So
of
you didn't like jump in like, okay, here we go.
Mm-mm,
Okay.
mm-mm. I knew there was going to be a learning curve, and so I was making some dirty looking bad stuff. I washed in a warm day, had too much ice in there,
Yeah.
like crunching around in there.
Just blender status to run in the Vitamix.
Yeah, it was disgusting. And but you know, but it was smokable. I like rolled it into some pseudo temple balls and like was smoking out of a 3-hole
Good
pipe
for
and
flower bowls and
some stuff like that. Yeah. But nothing I like write home about. And then I actually spent a bunch of money as so got this guy Brett Bird that wins the Emerald Cup like every year for personal use. It's pretty amazing hash maker. And he and a couple of people put on a seminar up in Willits in Mendocino County up north of us. And I paid $800 to go to a 2-day seminar and watch these people work. But just seeing it with my own eyes opened up, oh, okay, that's where I'm falling apart. That's where I'm falling apart. And just watching people do it empowered me so much to like, oh, I can do this. Okay, this is an achievable thing that, you know, yeah, there's some equipment, but I don't need all of it at once, and I can kind of get going and get after this thing. So to me, that class was the big thing that caused a jump in the quality of what I was making. All of a sudden, then I was making, it was air dry, but it was like blonde, pretty, like.
But you made like that's like you made basically a batch of hash that was like meh, and you were like, all right, I'm gonna spend a few $1,000 and like learn how to do this.
I made several batches of
Okay.
and then yeah, I was like, I talked to my wife and I'm like,
So you did try to do it, and then you were like, all right, I can't figure this out.
I just wanted to get in and see someone that was a professional, someone that really knew what they were doing, to watch them work. I love that anyway. I just love watching people with their craft and when they're good at stuff. So to me, it was fun, and I met a bunch of killer people, and that was awesome too. But to me, that was a big one. Now it's crazy because you know resources like you or like the Homegrown Hashishin Discord,
Or even just YouTube. I mean, at this point, like the YouTube videos of today's hash world are 5 times better than the ones of 2020.
Oh my God, yeah. And I mean, even the ones in 2 or 3 years ago are good, and they just keep getting better and better, the production quality. At this point, you can get in, there's so many resources. I feel like someone could sit down and really, and honestly, find someone to mentor them pretty much online and walk them through everything they need to know, and they'd be up and running in a couple of weeks. And like, because like but to me, for the biggest thing is just get started. Like dive in, figure out where you're,
So like where you're at now though. I mean, so like one is that was like phase 1, and then it sounds like the class sort of unlocked phase 2 for you, like from a thinking standpoint. But if you were at that point now where I've made a few Midzi batches, how do I get better? Do you, with the amount of resources available now, whether it's Discord or YouTube or newsletters or what have you, would you still pay to be in a course, or do you think that there's enough resources out there, like you said, that with a few weeks of online training you could just jump in?
I think there's enough out there for the home hash maker now at this point. I think there's enough out there that you wouldn't need to necessarily pay for a class. I certainly wouldn't go pay $800 for one again. But that said, like a couple $100 to watch someone work and to get into a cold environment and watch people really do their job, like, is a pretty valuable thing. So I think there's still some value there. I just think it's a matter of, for everybody, like, is the juice worth the squeeze from the.
And at what point are you at in your journey? Meaning, like,
Yeah.
have you exhausted your online resources? Now you're like, okay, I want to go sit in someone's lab for 12 hours and just see it happen.
I'm like Cuban growers doing melt classes right now. I'm like, look, yeah, that guy's a character. The motherfucker can make some hash.
No, I mean, that's one of those things. Like, again, specializing. Like, we're in the 1% of people who make hash that we smoke because we grew it, because we made it. And then you add in, like, hey, now that you're there, now where do you want to go? You want to do mechanical separation and make THCA? You want to make 99% heads only? You know what? You want to cure hash for 7 months? And like, what do you want to, now where do you want to go?
Yeah. I mean, and for me, Paul, personally, I don't even know like where that's going to be. But for the people that are just getting started, like, you can go, there's a bunch of doors you can open. I mean, shit, like going into dry sift would be a really great way for someone to get hashing.
Yeah.
You know, if you're talking about like the not having a whole bunch of setup, you can just have a tent and a couple of screens and some gloves and a respirator mask, and you're off and sifting. And go spend an hour with Woody Wilson, and he'll show you exactly what to do. You know, in shit, in terms of ease of entry into making really quality material, dry sifting is pretty tough to beat, especially from the amount of time you get in, you're directly rewarded with the amount of material that you get back. Like
and like you don't have to commit your plant to harvest. You can just be like, oh shit, I have some dry material. Like, now hopefully you've planned a little bit ahead, but like even if you haven't, you're like, I have so much of this, I'm never gonna smoke it. Let's make some hash.
That's exactly right. And people are doing pretty amazing stuff, like pressing dry sift and getting rosin out of it. And I mean, shit, you can do a lot with it.
All this electrostatic contamination removal, and I feel like it's, when I was making dry sift, it was trim trays and wood boxes, throw a quarter in there with your eighth and you shake it until it's fucking powder, and then you've got a tray of keef.
Oh, dude, I went with the dry ice hash in the 5-gallon.
I did, yeah.
Oh yeah, like, hey,
stuff.
It is. I will say, in terms of things I've done in this hobby that were very satisfying at the moment I did them, dry ice hash is extremely satisfying. Like dumping the thing in and resin just dumping out onto that table.
And then it's like immediately ready. You're like, I can smoke this right now.
Oh my God, it's so good. Yeah.
And I think for bang for buck, like, if you can get a work bag, or really any bag, for that matter, but like dry ice, a work bag, and material, edibles, extracts, drinks, whatever you're doing, rudimentary. Like, I wouldn't dab it, but if you want to make edibles, I would definitely. I don't know. It's an interesting thought, like dry ice hash versus full flower.
In theory, the only thing left from dry ice is carbon dioxide, which is, like, you can see that burning off as dry ice is, like, exposed to air. But like, I don't know. I'm a little weird about recommending people like put dry ice in with something, and I don't know. It's tricky. And the other part is, and then there's ways to do it well and ways to do it poorly. Like, and I think if anyone wants to try dry ice hash, I'll give one word of advice: stop before you think you need to. Meaning, like, if it's blonde and shaking it, whatever, don't wait until you see it to turn any darker before you stop shaking it. Just stop shaking it. And like, because the sooner you stop shaking, the happier you're going to be with the end product. It's just, like, leave some fruit on the tree. It's
because I like worked my way from the table. Like, you do like one, and then you move, and you do another minute, and then you do another minute. And quality grades.
And I'm talking like you should do like 2 minutes total.
Yeah,
and not even fuck with that other stuff. Good, and I'm the guy that leaves the stuff on the plant. So
right. Well, I don't make dry ice. So I get it. But it's interesting. Like, for me, I started on the solventless strain. Like, I tried to make hash. I made pretty brown looking stuff from weed I bought at the dispensary, when I was first learning. And Then I jumped to flower rosin because I could do 1/8 at a time,
Right.
and I didn't have to commit the whole crop. It was like, okay, what is this like? I don't, as a small producer, like I just want a 1/2 gram of this to try it,
Bro, I'm about to press some flower rosin tonight. Like for real. Like I
And
love
that
flower
has even
rosin.
come of light years since I was making it. Like these days, there's actually some decent stuff out there compared to what it
Oh
used
yeah.
to look like. But
It's lightened. It's night and day
yeah.
better than it used to be. Like what people are doing. The tech has gotten so much better, and the procedures have gotten so much better with flower rosin since we were screwing with it. But
Well, and even like,
dude,
you were talking about like the juice isn't worth the squeeze to try to get some of that extra out. If you're there for the waste and you're there to experiment, like you can get some cool, good resin. You're
yeah,
squeezing trikes one way or the other.
yeah.
But yeah, that was my like jump. Was then I went from that to like, okay, like now I'm gonna wash for real. And I'm
Hmm.
gonna press actual hash and like try this.
Yeah, yeah.
So your first run, you went right into pressing hash.
Yeah, I bought the resin. I bought the um I bought the press and was pressing flower rosin. I went that route
Okay.
too before getting that. Because you know what? I'm gonna get this washer back up and figure out how to do this right. So
Okay.
I did spend a couple of months just pressing flower and getting flower rosin out. It's
Working
great.
those biceps.
Oh, dude, my 4-ton press, and like just I was jacked after that. I think I screwed up my shoulder a little bit, but yeah, I there's something to flower rosin. I think it's a quality extract. I think it's underrated in general if it's well done, because it is. People want to talk about full spectrum, and I'm a
Yeah.
big proponent of wider spectrum hash, but full spectrum, you can't beat the flower rosin for that. I mean, you're getting all kinds of stuff that in good or bad that
It's
you
like
wouldn't get.
charas or like finger rosin, or
Hmm.
finger hash. Like,
Hmm. There's something to it, and I think there's a full body high to it. There's a full body experience that you can get from like um, temple balls and like aged hash, and I think flower rosin gets into that too, where it's like I think loose resin you get it too. I think like full melt you get that
yeah.
like more full body experience, but flower resin you absolutely get it.
Yeah.
So
Well, and going into kind of what you said before about like nomenclature and what people are called, like I was in a dispensary in Arizona where they were telling me that the flower rosin was that was their live rosin. And then they also had hash rosin, and then they also had like whatever the thing was below that, and I'm like, okay, this is confusing to me. Like, yeah, I understand to you, you were sold like this was pressed from the flower, so it's live. No.
I always want to step back and say, they're selling flower rosin at the dispensary.
Dude, they were. This was a while. This was probably 4 years ago when Arizona first
Still.
launched market. But like, it was definitely different, and I still wasn't sure whether the hash I bought was flower rosin or hash rosin. So,
Yeah. Well,
but
hey,
my wife loves flower rosin. She says it's a much closer experience to smoking flower.
yeah,
So,
which makes sense. I mean,
right.
and I think for some people, for me, that isn't necessarily a great thing. Is it's like, you know, there's just not enough bang for the buck there with flour.
Right.
Like
Yeah. Well,
it's
and
just,
cleaning the nail and all the proxy or whatever you're working with, like
yeah,
hash rosin is superior, but it's superior from a standpoint of certain things. Like if you're looking for a different experience, then it's the same thing as smoking bubble hash versus smoking rosin or.
and then I still think for a lot of people that flour rosin way to go is probably the right door to get into extracts. If I had to like, what's the first thing I'd do? Probably wouldn't be buy a washer or buy bags or whatever. It'd probably be a press. I'd buy a
Okay.
press and learn about flour rosin and kind of get familiar with it. And like, because it's like you're starting to interact with resin a little bit there. And the
Yeah.
cost entry, you're not like you don't have a huge list of things that you're needing to buy. You've got this one thing in some bags and you can
Right.
get at
And
it.
really, you don't even need the bags. Like really, just parchment paper from the kitchen and a
That's true.
nug, and you can squeeze your first dab. You might
Yeah,
not get as much, but
you get something out of there,
Right.
that's for sure. And yeah, I think that's a pretty special experience for people. And then
Hair straighteners.
hair straightener, yeah. But you get to that nice blonde beachy stuff when you've got a washer and a freeze dryer and all that nonsense, and then you can appreciate that a little bit more maybe. right? Like
Yeah.
it's the flower rosin is character building.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It's
but not to be underrated in terms of the quality that you can make there.
it's so funny because I look back at when I was making flower rosin and I was like championing, flower rosin is back, kind of thing. Like this is quality. And I see other younger growers and hash makers go through the same virtuous cycle of like, okay, they're in their flower rosin making stage. And then, you give them 6 months and they're like, okay, I was wrong, And then, it's not that they're wrong, but they were like, hey, now I'm trying something else. And I really like this new method,
The beauty of the press is the first thing too, is it's not a mispurchase.
Right.
You buy your press and it's still going to be useful for you when you
Oh,
get
yeah.
to the hash rosin thing. It's like, it's not that thing you're going to re-spend that money. Like I said, I bought a 4-ton press and now it's like, I'm like, oh God, this isn't enough to splash it, but to smash hash, it's
Yeah.
great, dude. Like 4
yeah.
tons is plenty. I'm like no problem, whatever. But
Right.
like, there's no need to break the bank. I mean, you can spend $300-400 and end up with something that's going to be future proof for you and for the next 4 or 5 years as you go through your hash journey. So like,
Yeah, I mean, my 5x5 bottle jack press lasted me 4, and it was still working. It just started leaking. Like everything about it worked perfectly. Just the bottle jack itself started leaking.
until I get a rosin press brand to sponsor me, I'm gonna just go ahead and recommend people buy dab presses. So all of you, screw you, buy dab presses. It's great. Like, and honestly, for the bang for the buck, yeah, it's like not the most amazing customer service, you have issues or anything, but it's not that bad. And honestly, for the price for what you're getting, you can't beat it. Like, you're just going to get so much more press than you can from another like higher end thing. And especially starting off, having that much control over things maybe isn't the best thing for you anyway. Like, just something that's ready to go with like a simple press, 3x5 press, 4 or 5 tons, be all you need.
Well, and it's also such a great, like, to go back to your point about introduction to extracts, like when I first got my press and I'd have people over, I'd be like, hey, by the way, you want to squish like some of the weed you brought? It's
cool.
this interactive, like, oh shit, I didn't realize I could turn what I have in my pocket into something else at home.
I've been trying to convince people I know that smoke. I'm like, hey, you should just grow a couple plants and throw it in your freezer. I just keep trying to convince them to like, just here, like, I'll bring a pot over and you can just grow it at your house and then just put it in your freezer when it's done. It's like the easiest thing.
Like you can have 6 too.
Yeah. Like you could have 6 too. It'd be so great. But just one would be great.
Yeah.
But people like that idea of, wait, I could grow something and then I could get a vape that's made from that. Like,
well, and there's that big jump. Like, we have friends here who I finally convinced to start growing, and they grew outdoors in their greenhouse, and they had a blast. They grew all this product, and then it was like, how do I turn this into a vape?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, there's a few more steps you have to jump through if you want to start making vapes at home. And I probably wouldn't start with the weed that you didn't really train or feed.
Yeah, probably not a good place to start.
But
probably well, but I think there's something to that, like in introducing people to it, and like if people are growing their own, and like, hey, like getting them introduced to the process. A lot of times I'll have people that come over to the house and like they haven't done a dab before. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna do a dab. Like, it's just kind of a fun thing for people to do. But usually before I do, I walk them through the process. I like out in the garage, I'll show them like, so I put all this stuff in here, the ice, and I kind of walk them through it like in a really like quick 30,000 foot view. And like, and then you're left with this and hand them the rig. And like that, I think it helps kind of bring home exactly what it is and demystifies it a little bit, makes it not so scary, especially when you start putting up the butane torch.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, e-rigs and vapes have definitely made, hash concentrates more acceptable, more approachable.
A lot less scary.
Yeah, I have a great friend to this day that I'll remember when he came over to my house. He's like, the last time we smoked, we didn't need a blowtorch. No, we didn't, but now we do.
We've upgraded.
We've upgraded. So tracing this sort of back to the path, I would say, growing for flower obviously is sort of ground zero.
Yeah.
Buying a press, that would probably be stage 1. Then washing equipment, potentially a freeze dryer would be the next level, and then upgrading to fun little devices like brewing tanks and actionators and whatever resin dials and all the gadgets
Oh,
of a fully invested hobbyist with a desire to burn money.
it is a bottomless pit for my wallet, but on the other hand, it's really not that bad. And I try to be smart about it. My wife and I, we're very budget conscious of things, right? So like, I set myself a hobby budget for the year, and then I
Yeah.
adhere very closely to it. So like recently, I'm like,
Okay.
shit, I'm out of funds building up this new setup. So I had to, you know what it made me do? Made me sell some shit. I had to sell
Yeah.
some shit that I wasn't using anymore and finish up the build, and like.
Right.
There's something to holding yourself accountable on it. Like, it's good, but like, you don't need tons of money to get started. If you had $500, you're in a great press. If you had another $500, you probably got a really good sprayer setup that you could build. You know what I mean? Like, a couple of grand in, and you got a really nice, like, little personal half setup that like
Well,
nobody
and
could
when you
use at.
upgrade, like it's sort of like the old video game thing, right? PlayStation 3 came out, trade in all your PlayStation 2 games, like pass them on to a new hash maker. Like that's how I got my first freeze dryer. That's how I got my press. Like work like other hash makers, passing
Oh,
things down.
dude,
Not just being like, well, if mine fails, I'm gonna need this
yeah.
in my garage.
I
Call
had
me.
a
Call me, I
second
got you. You can borrow it.
I had a second freeze dryer pump that I was holding on to for that reason, that I had gotten a free one, but going back and forth with Harvest
That's
Right for too
tough. That's
long.
a tougher one though.
Yeah, but that one I was like, do I let go of this one? But like, somebody offered me the right money for it. And I was like, you know what? It's the right thing to do. It's just sitting here and whatever. And it could be a problem at some point if I'm like, oh God, I need a backup pump or something. But like,
I did
famous
have
last
to buy a
words.
new pump. I did have to go down there, but like we've talked about, low temp is in Denver, so I like
Close.
drove down to them. They were like, "Yeah, we have one left. You want it?" I'm like, "Yep, I'm coming right now. Take my money."
Low temp saved my salt, man. They I was having problems. I bought my freeze dryer through them, and I was having problems getting it set up with they just wouldn't hold vacuum, and Harvest Right support was being terrible. And the only way that I got anything done was by contacting low temp, and
Oh
they were
wow.
good about like advocating with Harvest Right for me and
Yeah.
making sure that I got resolution. I don't think I would have gotten resolution without them. So I have nothing but good things to say about those guys. They're great. Their presses are very expensive, but I would love to own one. Yeah, maybe someday. Maybe I'll find a used one.
Well, so before we move on from this, and then I want to get into some questions and let you go. You went from sort of making hash, making good hash, however you want to call it, to making vapes.
Mhm.
What was that jump like for you, like from a tech and process standpoint?
So that was one that was cool. I learned a little bit about that with at the bird class that I went to. And so, but honestly, I feel like I'm still working on my carts. I think I can still get them better. I
You
do
just did the basic heat tech.
I do the basic heat tech, but I try to go a little faster. So, okay, well, let's get nerdy.
Here we
Let's
go.
go for it. Okay, so the whole deal with decarving is obviously you're trying to heat the oil up, and you want to decarb the oil to where it's going to be viscous enough or like light enough to be able to flow inside of the cartridge and wick and do what it needs to do. Otherwise, it'll just recrystallize and you can't do anything with it. The problem is that people do these really long decarbs, so they'll put it in a oven for 2 days or something, or 3 days, or a heat mat for a week, or they'll do this crazy stuff. But like again, right sizing the hobby for you, right? My wife is not someone that's going to let me leave a toaster oven on for 2 days. That just is not. That is just not going to work in my relationship. It's just like we'll call her like worst case Kathy is her nickname around the house, because she's it's definitely a thing. Like, her brain goes to the worst case scenario, like our house is gonna burn down.
Yeah.
So what and it did instead. So I learned from cardiologist on our Discord. He's done a lot of work with the centrifuge. And so
Okay.
now what I'm doing is I'm taking rosin and spinning it in the centrifuge with bags inside of it, with press bags. And basically what it does is the centrifugal force pulls all this HTE, high terpene extract, out of the rosin and separates it from the cannabinoids. So you're left with pure THCA and then a whole bunch of high terpene extract, like more viscous or liquid kind of stuff like down at the bottom.
Okay.
And what that lets you do then is I can take the THC and I can do the decarbing without having to heat up the terps. So the move is it lets me do a quick decarb without burning off all the terpenes that you're trying to preserve, because I can't do a super fast one. You see what I'm saying?
Lights are turning on.
So instead, so I put that in at 5,000 RPMs and spin it, and I do that little process. I put it in the jar and bake it. I can decarb that thing in like an hour and a half, and I'm off. I'm done. Like I put the terpenes back in it and load it into the carts, and I'm done. And I had made, without question, the best quality carts I'd ever made after going through that process. And like I spent 50, 60 grams of rosin just fucking with that process. I couldn't get enough spinning it. Like, it was just like, oh God, it was so much fun. It's such an up level nerd experience when you got a centrifuge in your house. Let me tell you, it's super cool. But like again, I bought one that was like an $800-900 unit new, but I bought it on eBay from a lab that had a lab sales place that had been used for a few months, and I bought it for $250.
Okay.
And I've got and it takes, the big deal is you want ones that take 50 milliliter tubes so that the tubes are big enough. Otherwise it uses little tiny centrifuge. Like the little seed vials that we get all the time?
Yeah.
Those are centrifuge tubes. Those aren't for seeds.
No, I know.
So imagine like a very big version of that. That's what we're stuffing the rosin down in to spin around. But yeah, it is really a game changer. And now it's opened up this thing of, being able to make Rackham style diamonds. So like now that you've got that THCA separated, instead of decarbonate, it, you could turn it into diamonds and do a diamonds and sauce presentation. You can do a lot of stuff.
So so the bag, like when you pull out the tube at the end, at the bottom of the tube, there's HTE. In the bag, there's THCA.
In the bag,
and you're using what, like a 10 micron or a 5 micron, or what's your bag say? 24
microns, same as I use in the press. Yep.
Okay.
And you could use smaller, but 24 seems to do a great job. And it's like the THCA isn't like white, but it's pretty much white, and like just like a little tint to it.
Chop it up with a card, make it a little whiter.
Yeah, definitely. But it's I mean, it's pretty freaking pure, and just to be able to do that decarb so fast and not have to risk terpenes I think is just like an absolute game changer. The other thing you could do is you could filter it and like clean it up. You could actually, use it to filter it and do other things to like clean it up more. But like for me at this point, it was all about how do I decarb this in a fast way and get maximum flavor out of it still? Because I didn't want it like higher temperatures to do a short decarb. I was losing flavor.
Well, and you could do it for plating too. I mean, even in jars, like you could have the separation visible.
Oh yeah, I mean, you've seen like Rackham style diamonds where it's like, like I mean, people are doing that easily now, and you just doing it with the centrifuge thing instead of having to do the press separation of like to separate. Now it's just throw it in the centrifuge for 20 minutes and it's done. It's really freaking cool. But it's next level tech, but I think one that's very achievable and very accessible to the home grower.
And again, because you don't have to have an oven. Like I have a vac oven at home that I bought used from a hemp farm because it's bulletproof. I can heat jars in it, and I know that if it blows up, they're gonna blow up in the jar in the thing itself.
Nothing's happening.
It's not my kitchen oven that's gonna be covered in hash from an experiment going around.
Yeah, and that's it. It's like the risk reward, right? Now, granted, when you've got something spinning at 5,000 RPMs, you have different risks involved, like a projectile flying out of it.
Oh yeah, projectile. Well, I figured there was a lid.
Oh, there's a lid, but like you just
did you get shot by a few tubes?
No, but the first time I turned it on, like I left the room.
Oh.
You're like, I'm like, let's check this out. I was very careful about it and like turned the thing on, and I left the room for 10 minutes and came back. Just as you never know. And then I started off doing it like a couple thousand RPM, and then turned it up until I felt comfortable with, okay, this thing's still solid and good, because it was a used device. I wasn't gonna wobble, wasn't gonna do anything weird, and it was all good.
Did you do it on the floor?
No, just on my kitchen counter, man.
Okay,
that's it. Yep. Just stuck it down on the granite and let it go.
So now that you have that, is that your preferred process? Like, are you going to take all your rosin through the spin and then
Not all of it.
okay,
Most of it will still say, I think, probably cold cured or
make diamonds?
dabbing and stuff. But I think, I'm really into jams and
Okay.
diamonds and all that stuff too. Like I love heat
Well,
curing
and
and all
in
that.
theory, now you could heat cure, like your jams could be better because you're not losing your terps.
In theory, yeah,
In theory.
you could like make it jam and then reintroduce it later, reintroduce the terpenes later if you wanted to. I think there's a lot of stuff that's going to open up that we can do.
Yeah.
But what I'm most excited though is just, I think, like if I go back to my original thing I was trying to do is like, how do I make like awesome cards? How do I do that? Like, how do I make that? This is unlocked, I think, to where it's like, shit, I can make better cards than people can buy at the dispensary. And that's pretty cool. Like I can like now guarantee that they're going to be better than what people can buy at the dispensary. And that makes me like infinitely happy.
Yeah, yeah.
They're
No,
like people are like, ooh, damn. Like just that first pull off of a good rosin pen when it's been properly made and like been decarbed right and like the terps are all there. I mean, Jesus, that's some gratifying shit right there. I love it.
yeah, I mean that's a tech unlock for sure. And I know you're constantly unlocking shit with Cardi in the Discord.
He's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
he's doing all kinds of crazy stuff with different processes, but like
But like that
that,
distillation there was just like shortcut.
yeah, exactly. And that dude, and I think too, with any of this tech, the big thing is just dive in and get dirty with it. It's like none of this is anything that's been invented for cannabis. Like it's not like the centrifuge was invented like that people didn't know how to mechanically separate things before or whatever. This is all stuff that's out there. But the beauty of it is it's all very accessible for us to reach now, and because there's no green tax. People don't know
Right.
that centrifuges are used for it yet. So like there's one company that makes them for weed, and other than that, it's all scientific
Like,
companies.
other than that, they're just centrifuges.
They're just centrifuges, yeah. And so it's really, really
Well,
cool. I'd highly
and
recommend it.
circling back to where we started, like genetics are everything, right? You can't
Oh,
experiment with some of this shit. Like I have a plant, the sour papaya, that does very well for hash. It's allowed me to experiment with and take losses on some of these crazy
right.
ideas.
That's right. That's exactly it. And then like
So,
and that's the whole. That's why I'm trying to do a full freezer, right? Like I said, like realistically, one person, I don't need that full freezer to get me through the year. But like to have that experimentation base and to have that material to play with when you're someone that's like really passionate about it, like yeah, it's really fun to have. And I think this year I'm gonna try to do some stuff. I might wash for that, like I said, a couple other people that are home growers and stuff, and have them come over and do some partner washes, which will be fun.
pretty cool.
Invited them over to like wash it with me.
Yeah.
So that'll be kind of a fun. I've done that before where like people are new to the process and like, hey, just throw it in the freezer and they'll come over and we'll see if it washes. And like I had one guy come over, it was a ghost wash. But
Yeah.
we washed some of mine and I sent him home with some stuff, you know what I mean? So he didn't go home empty handed or whatever. It was good. But that process I think is fun for the right person. I think that
Well, and with the
you never know
right
what you're gonna set off.
preparation, like I think about some of these classes, right? Whether it's Bird or whoever else, like these multi-day, come for the weekend, come for 3 days kind of things, and like some things you can do and you can expedite, right? Like you can freeze dry hash and then it's going to be obviously ready much faster, than if you were air drying. But say you're teaching an air drying class, like having batches, like starting early enough so that your second day you have air dried hash ready to press, ready for
Mhm.
people to feel and microplane and talk about and do these certain things. Like I think that's also key. It's like,
Kind of that thing where on TV when you see people doing cooking demonstrations and
and
they
they're like,
reach
here's the
down,
lasagna,
here's
it's
the
ready.
lasagna right out of the, yeah, exactly, right out of the oven, and there it is.
Right. You're like, cool.
Uh,
That was so fast. But
but
yeah.
I think that's cool, and having that ready to go and do it. But I think the education thing is something I've been enjoying more and more with people,
Yeah.
and to be able to teach them like what it is that I do, and people are genuinely curious about it. So I'm going to start opening up a little bit more and letting people in a little bit more. I might even do some like live streams from the wash this year, and like let people chime in as I'm working and stuff and tell me what I'm doing wrong. So I think anything to, I think, get people comfortable with it and know, oh, this guy's not anything special. I can do this. Like
Right.
that's the attitude I want you to have at it. It's like if you come away thinking like, damn, that guy's really good at what he does and I could never do that, I did what I was doing wrong. Like that's
Right.
not what I want. I want everybody
Yeah.
to think they can do this.
I want you to go, wow, that looks easy, you know,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
to understand it. Like if you never make hash, there's still a benefit to understanding how to make hash. You know, just so you're not sold a bunch of bullshit in this sort of space, but also just so you know, it's like if you understand how an engine works, or if you understand how to explain flavors, if you, certain things you just that understanding matters, even if you
Yeah.
don't put it in
Well,
practice frequently.
well, and just like when I break down someone that comes over and I'm like I said, gonna dab them out. I'm showing them the setup. The first thing I do is explain what a trichome is. And like, okay, so like there's this gland, like you see sugar or you see like crystals on it. It's a gland, and that gland holds everything that you actually want from the plant. And everything else in the plant is just bullshit. Like that's how I basically start like the whole thing. And then, oh, okay. And then usually at some point I tell them about that ratio thing. It's like, look,
Yeah.
95% of this material is not going to be something that hits your lungs because we're doing this process. And I think people, when you break it down in those terms, people get it pretty quickly. They're like, oh, okay. Like that's what
Yeah.
you're doing. You're just trying
Seeing is believing.
you're trying to isolate the amazing stuff and get rid of all the bullshit. That's it. That's all we do as hash makers. And that
Right.
and try not to screw up what the farmer did.
Refining.
Yep. Just don't screw it up. That's
Right.
it.
Yeah.
All the magic happened in the grow.
Yeah, hopefully.
It's supposed to anyway. Right.
Well, let's go to some rapid fires here and then get you on your way, because I appreciate all the time you spent.
No worries.
today.
I can bullshit about weed and
I've
hash
joked
with you all day, man.
that like I have tried to keep these under an hour, and I don't think I've done that. I might have done it once. Like I just enjoy talking about this stuff, and seemingly all the people on the podcast do. Like that's why you agreed to be here. So
yeah.
So let's recap quickly your first grow setup, the stack. It was the closet with DW shallow water culture.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. With a 400 watt HPS and a air hood and the whole thing. Yep.
Do you remember what you were growing?
Yeah, I think the first thing I drew was Granddaddy Perp from Clone.
Okay.
Yep. And it
Nursery access.
And it hit, just dispensary access at the time. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was living farther south. I drove all the way up to Santa Rosa to Sonoma County to like go to this certain dispensary that had a really great clone. Yeah, had great cuts. So
okay.
Anyway, it grew into the light and was a problem or whatever. And that's when I started looking into the autos. Yeah.
Okay. And so your current grow stack then is outdoor Jadam, recycled soil.
Mm-hmm.
What
all
else
that.
am I missing?
And a little super soil. I use quite a bit of gypsum. I'm a believer in that as an amendment. I'll use a little bit of off the shelf fertilizers, like dry fertilizers, but not too much anymore. This year was really just I was trying to do off the shelf ocean forest in the 15 gallons with a little bit of extra aeration added, and then just Jadam inputs. That's it.
You did that with like perlite or rice hulls or what?
Rice hulls, yeah.
Okay.
Rice hulls, and a pretty limited amount of them. Honestly, I didn't go that heavy on them this year. I probably had to do it again. I go heavier on the rice hulls next year. The drainage got a little packed in that 15-gallon pot, as you can imagine.
So are you going to up pot next year, or you're not up pot, but are you going to go upsize or no?
I don't think so. I think I like that. I think I like the 15s. I might though put two plants into the big tanks though. I might do 4 and 2 instead of 5 and 1. Growing those big ones it's so much fun, and it's like cool. It's cool. Like I had a 11-foot or so tomato plant in the same, like I had this big horse tank. It's like a 3 by 8 by 3 or something like that. It's big. And then one side of it had an 11-foot tomato plant, and the other one had a 7-foot weed plant in it. And they were like fighting for space, and you could see them. Yeah, nutrients and everything else. But man, you talk about like a couple of happy plants. It was really cool to watch like that work. And it had a bunch of like marigolds in there and companion planting, and it was I putting it in something closer to the ground is pretty gratifying. I kind of want more of that in my life.
Would you direct sow at all or no?
Nah. With autos maybe. I've done that a little bit, and when it's in the warmer months, but just because transplant shock can cause some issues with those things if you don't do it just right. But I wouldn't plant directly outside, and I'm really not doing much from seed anymore, as I'm looking for guaranteed hitters. So I'm getting hash cuts from friends that they've hunted, and or like bloom cuts or stuff like that I'm running these days.
Okay.
The seeds are it's just hit and miss, and the ghost washes are just too much abuse.
Too painful.
Yeah, and I did but I say, like, if you grow like from a reputable hash breeder, like, like used to be Oni, now Bloom, like I did a bunch of old Oni stuff back in the day, Little Lake Valley, some of these places, you're going to get almost everything that's going to hash to some degree. You're going to get 3-4% usually off of something that just a random bean that came about pack, but you don't know if the terps are right and everything else. And when I got one grow a year, I like the idea of kind of like someone else has signed off and said, this is the bomb.
You got 6 that's tough.
Or just the terps aren't ideal. That's my stash for the year.
Right. You're like, I'm stuck with that much stuff.
So so this year I've got, let's see, I had Pina Poppy, which is bred by Mr. Friday, ironic, and that's his cross that he did with a Banana Daddy. It's just a big artificial pineapple juice bomb. It's awesome. Did some Super Boof, did some Moroccan peaches, Rainbow Guava 5, the Mr. Autogrow cut, did that in a 15 gallon. It did great this year. Peach pie I did, and then and I think that's it. I think that's 6. Is that all 6? Did I say that's all 6?
5.
Oh,
Paradise
Pine. I did a Paradise Pine. Yep. And
how did that do for you?
Oh, amazing. And it
from
finished
seed or cut?
From cut. But it finished super early. I was harvesting it like second week of September.
They said it'll start flowering indoors in veg if you don't keep it with enough light on it. That's just such a fast finisher.
It's wild. I mean, you look at the Huckleberry Hill farm, and everything was in like mid-flower. It looked like it was almost finished, like I said, first, second week of September. It's crazy how early those are. But I'm excited about it. It's got it's another one, ironic. It's one of his cuts, but it's a cantaloupe leaning pheno. It's got a lot of other fruit on it, but it's got a strong cantaloupe presence. I love cantaloupe, so I'm super stoked on it.
Okay, so we sort of skipped into this, but some genetics that you're excited about, or 3 breeders you'd recommend for home hash makers.
Oh, easy. I'll go. Well, I'll throw out a bunch of them here. Bloom, Little Lake Valley is great. Kingana or Kingana Organics is another one that's maybe a little less known. Flying Lion Research is a great one. Really interesting dude. Bought some beans off of him at Eagle Clash a couple times and had really great luck. I think that any of those guys are going to be good to go. And I mean, honestly, everybody starts with these Bloom ones these days, but there's a reason why. I mean, people are like first time out getting 4 and 5, 6%ers out of their packs or whatever. And like, what a great thing when you're first starting. So if you don't have, I would say this, if you don't have, and you're welcome, Harry Palms. I have a Harry Palms story, but that's another story for another day. If you're looking for something to hash away and you don't have access to clones and you don't have like a bunch of friends that are growers that can like hook that up, getting a pack of like Bloom seeds is a really solid way to go. You're gonna find something in there that you're gonna like, and you're gonna find something that's gonna hash. You're not gonna be ghost washing anything, which is protect your ego early on. You need to.
It's we have signed up for this job of getting kicked in the nuts enough.
Plant janitor is the main thing. It's that you're playing plant janitor all the year round. You don't need to like get nothing out of it at the end. It's disheartening. So, but if you start with real hash genetics made for hash, which is, you gotta like do your research on it. But if you do that, you really can't miss, is if you follow the information, and then so you screw
a lot easier these days.
It's a lot easier these days. And again, like you're a great resource. I would encourage people to of course interact with you and get knowledge from you. I think there are.
Can they get into your Discord? Is it still locked up?
You can direct message me at Sonoma Sungrown, and I'll ask you a few questions to make sure you're not a weirdo. But assuming you're pretty cool and you're into this stuff, like we'll get you in.
Okay.
And then inside, like there's so many people, and I don't care what weird thing you want to know about, there's somebody on there that's done it or has tried it and they can help you out with what you're doing, what you're having struggled with, and just a bunch of people that really want to help you, which is pretty unique. It's the gatekeeping thing doesn't exist at the homegrown Hashushin. It just doesn't. So
okay, so quick hits. So trimming, I guess you don't really trim, but I guess when you're bucking, do you remove sugar leaves or anything, or are you just full?
So I try to do as few cuts as possible. And then what I'll do is I'll maybe leave leaves on that have half coverage in trikes, but I'll leave those on there just to
fan.
And then I just take the fan leaves off, and like I try to just buck everything in one cut off the stem where the fan leaf comes off and then the bud pops off. I'll just try
right on the growth node, just snip
one cut right through there, and then that goes in the bag. And then it's one of those things with it where you don't want to like over agitate it with too much plant material in there. So
do you cut buds down to like quarter size or like
no.
Oh, okay.
So my deal is this is my religion in terms of this stuff, and people have different opinions of this. Some people will say like really manicure the bud and cut the leaves off, anything that's not covered in trikes, and then you throw it in there and you wash it. My move is I don't want to cut across leaves at all. All I'm cutting is stems. Ideally, if I do a plant right, I won't cut a leaf the whole time. And the move is I don't want chlorophyll leaching out in the water when I'm washing.
Yeah.
And so 2 ways you can do that. One is not cutting it, and the other is limit the amount of agitation time. So you could either turn down the speed or you can turn down the amount of time that you spend. And I tend to do really quick washes. Like my first wash, I agitate for 6 seconds.
Okay.
And then the next one's 15.
And that's your false wash, or that's your
first one? The false wash is the quick one, and then the next, and then but my first wash is 15 seconds. That's it. Like I don't fuck with it. And honestly, usually after 3, so we'll go 15 seconds, then I'll go out to like a minute, and then I'll go out to like a minute 30 or thereabouts, right? Depending on the strain, and you kind of get a feel for them as they go. But usually past 3, you're good. I don't end up taking past pull 3. Real full 4,
Yeah.
The first one is important though. That first false wash, especially doing outdoor, because again, bugs and things and dust and that shit.
Right.
Getting all that off of there and not putting that into your rosin, I think is kind of an important thing. I actually take all that material though, if it's looking good and it feels clean, I make temple balls out of it.
There you go.
That's the move. I'll like save those up, like mixed varietal, mixed pheno temple balls out of them.
Yeah.
And but you're, again, if you know someone that knows a temple ball and you can give them a 2-year-old aged temple ball that you aged yourself, pretty cool gift.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So like
that's in the like high levels of homegrown gifts.
Oh yeah. If you want to make a pothead happy, give them a temple ball that's been aged for 2 years. Like someone that really knows their game. I mean, nobody's gonna sell you a temple ball.
Right.
Nobody will sell it. Like if someone has a 2-year-old temple ball, try to buy it from them. See if they'll sell it to you. They won't. There's no way. That's like it's some special stuff that you don't let go of. So
all right. Well, so we talked this, but salts are organics. You're sort of
I'm organics all day.
Organic.
But
seeds are clones.
Oh,
clones too.
Clones too, but I love seeds. I do love the like. I've never been able to do like full blown pheno hunts, but I think there's something about like gambling,
right?
And like that time when you get a really special one, and you're like, this one is mine. I am the only person that has this. Like, there's something really cool about that. But
100%.
But yeah, for now it's clones.
Okay. Flour or hash? I think we got that one pretty covered. Melt or rosin?
Oh, I'm gonna go rosin.
Okay.
With some exceptions. I've had some melt that like I would take before anything ever, but generally speaking, I'll take rosin over most melt. I just think The experience is a little cleaner on the banger. Makes just a little bit. It feels like the extra level of filtration. If I go back to my priorities, it feels like that's a cleaner product, and I like the cleaner product on my lungs. That said, I got to try like the Zaboof at the Eagle Clash, like during the judging table. And there's some stuff in that room that just make your toes curl up. It's so fucking good.
Well, and the profile does change with the press for some, you know.
It does. There's heat. I mean, you're introducing heat, and so that it may not make it worse. It may make it better, but it's definitely gonna change it. Like there's no doubt.
Epic cross you'd like to see, or epic cut you'd love to see in hash?
I was just trying to talk. Ironic into crossing Moroccan, like doing a reversal of Moroccan peaches and breeding that to his Pina Poppy.
Okay, because they're both his cuts.
They're both his cuts that he has right now, and I'm trying to make that one happen. Because I think there's just the Moroccan peaches has such a beautiful gas profile along with the peach that I feel like that gas introducing it to the pineapple profile, and the other one would be epic. But back to the real wish list, dude, I want hazes. I want some hash and ass hazes. Like, give me something that's like, I want to like feel like I had like a cup of espresso. Like, give me that hash. Like, that doesn't exist right now. I mean, other than like
it does.
It's
like Shanty just was on, and we talked about, because he's been chasing this haze hash ghost for a while, and our mutual friend washes for him and has definitely had the ghost washes and the 0.5 percenters and the, but at the same time, like, his take was, I just want to see it in hash. Like, if I only get 3 grams, so be it. It's just super rare, and it's my super silver haze hash or whatever
That's right.
So
my favorite rosin I've ever had though is flower rosin. Interestingly enough. So this guy at First Cut Farms, his name's Jerry. He's a pretty famous dude. He was one of the original caregivers who was providing flower to the first dispensary in San Francisco back in the day. He's been around doing this for a while, but he has a Vietnamese land race that he does on his farm, and he gave me a cola of that Vietnamese land race, and I pressed it into flower rosin, and holy shit, it was like, I'm talking like caffeinated, like just wild,
just running around the house,
clean the house, like take a toke and clean the house. Like, it was that kind of weed, and like you just can't get that anymore. But yeah, it was a Vietnamese land race. It was beautiful, high pining, like just, oh god, it's so good. So I would say that the best rosin I've ever had was actually flower rosin, because I love that effect so much.
And it's so hard to get.
You can't get it, no. And it's like, where am I going to find another Vietnamese land race to press? But no.
What's keeping you excited in cannabis, about cannabis these days?
I'm enjoying how fast the world is opening up right now. More people are getting exposed to cannabinoids at a faster pace than has ever happened in history right now. And I think that's really fucking exciting. You got like soccer moms drinking THC beverages, and you got like people that are like
tennis pros hitting vapes.
Any all walks of life that are discovering that, like, hey, shit, this makes my life a little bit better, And I think like people talk about like weed is medicine a lot. They're like, we like my medicine, and I think some people overblow it, like, and then they don't talk about medical things. But if something makes you feel better and like makes you feel better about life, that's medicine. And I think for a lot of people, they're finding out that that endocannabinoid system that they were born with actually is a pretty powerful thing. And I think there's some like usefulness inside of their lives for it, if they're willing to like explore it and see what's there. So like, to me, it's the new people. The new people are what like get me excited. That, and then the Discord right now, it's like, I love when the new people show up and we can help new people.
And you can take them so much faster through this process.
Oh my god, it frustratingly so. I'm jealous that they're like, I'm my first wash, I got 6%.
Like,
who are
that's
you?
not how it's supposed to go. Like, at least give them a 3.
But ultimately, that's exactly what I want is for them to be successful. So that's been really fun. It's been spreading that knowledge. Now it's like that moment. I had that moment about a year or two ago where I'm like, Shit, man, I'm actually kind of an expert at this stuff now. And like I've been doing this for so long, and I don't think about myself. I don't do it for a living, so I don't think about. I'm not a professional hash maker. But I
Right.
finally realized, like, well, shit, I actually know some things about. I know a thing or two about a thing or two now, and maybe I could actually help some people out by, like creating a platform for it. So that's kind of what we're doing with the podcast, and hopefully it's helping a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've found it helpful, and sort of like what I'm trying to do with this is highlight some of the people who, are in my network, but also people who I may have just met who are just growers, like
Yep.
who that's not they're not in the weed world. I just happen to meet them and they're like, "Hey, I grow pot." I'm like, "Come on the podcast." Like nobody's going to know who you are. But this is great. Like hear those stories.
Fitting, and I think there's value to how it fits people's lives. Like, again, it's not right. It's not going to be right for everybody to have a converted garage hash lab and a 6-door or 6-plant outdoor grow. Like, isn't going to work for everybody. But on the same point, like, it isn't going to work for me to have a bunch of tents going on, and it isn't
Right.
going to work for right sizing the hobby and figuring out like it making it fit your life instead of the other way around is I think the unspoken challenge of this hobby, like
Right.
balancing your work and your life with your hobby and making that all kind of like
Well, I mean, it's like any hobby, right? Like I've
coalesce.
got a buddy with multiple broken down cars in his backyard because he can't stop buying fixer uppers that he envisions.
That he doesn't fix.
Yeah, well, he buys the parts and then he'll find a new one, and he's excited about building both
Yeah.
of them. And his wife's finally like, "You got to sell some of these."
That's it. And like, and half of it is, and like, I'm fortunate, like I've got a partner who's very supportive of everything I do, and she's amazing. She doesn't smoke at all. Yeah. So it's all Greek to her. She pretends to be interested and like, just, she's amazing. Like she tries
That's
really
awesome.
hard, but on the other hand, it's good because it like keeps me in check. And it's like, okay, like, am I making sure that I'm balancing things correctly and I've got my priorities straight? And I think that's
Yeah,
helpful.
it's absolutely important.
So, yeah.
So if you were to, before I give you the platform to kind of plug yourself, if you were to leave listeners with some advice for growers who want to make hash at home, or just for people who are doing, any of this stuff on a hobby level, what would that look like?
If everybody's going to advice to start,
Well, like anyone who is listening, like maybe advice for growers who want to make hash at home, for hash makers who are trying and maybe not seeing the results they want, or sort of whatever angle you want to approach that.
So I call hash like the final form of stonerdom. It's like the epic, it's like the final boss of like where you can go with things. So for those of you growing at home, you're farming resin right now, whether or not you think you're farming flower, you're farming resin, and that's great. But like getting to know that resin a little bit better, I think can pay dividends and help you understand your grow better in general. So I would just encourage people to like dive in if they have any interest in extracts at all. Maybe it's from maybe it's a cartridge thing that they want to get into. Maybe it's they want to be able to make dabs, whatever it happens to be. Don't be afraid of it. Just dive in. And I know it's a little disconcerting to take your hard-earned bud and throw it into a bath of ice water, but God damn it, you can do it, and it's worth it in the end. But start with genetics first. That's the biggest advice: is start with the right genetics. Otherwise, you're going to have a bad time. Like that's it, and you don't want to have a bad time. Like this is supposed to be a hobby, not punishment.
Yeah, it is sort of a pleasure and pain balance on
Yeah.
some of those washes.
I guess it's that thing, right? Like if it weren't challenging, it wouldn't be much of a hobby.
Right.
If you didn't
If
take
this
a
was
loss
easy,
every once in a
everyone would
while,
do it.
exactly. If you didn't take a loss every once in a while, then the wins wouldn't be so sweet, right? So don't be afraid of having something mess up. And like, and then in terms of like people growing outdoors, for people that started indoors that maybe are thinking about going outdoors with it, like understand you're going to take some losses too, and like you're going to have to learn how to be part of the environment, and how you're going to have to learn how it's not the same. It's not the same, and you're going to have to learn how to like work with nature instead of fighting it. And instead of trying to be God, you have to deal with it. You know what I mean? Like you got to you're in it. Your bugs are going to show up. So what are you going to do? So yeah, it's interesting, but I would just say you can do it. You can get after it. just make sure you start with the right genetics.
Yeah, if you do, it's worth it.
Yeah, 100%. And you blow people's minds too, which is really cool. The first time you show up with something that they don't believe you've made, yeah, it's pretty gratifying.
Yeah, no, for sure. So on that note, not just the hash, but other things you've made, where can people find you? How can they support you? Where can they meet up with you and try your hash? What do you got going on?
Well, if you're ever coming through Sonoma County, you can direct message me, and I'll probably get together and want to hang out with you for a little bit. If not, you can find me online pretty easily. So if you can go to sonomasungrown.co, or you can go to the homegrownhashishin.com, either one, and you can find, they all go to the same well. You can find everything you need to know about us there. You can find a couple of things, including a link to our Patreon, which we do now, which is great. We've just got a handful of members that support us, but we're doing some really fun stuff for them. There's going to be some seed giveaways. There's going to be, I'm making a custom dab tool. I'm having them made out of this like ridiculous piece of bird's eye maple. So everybody's going to get this like custom dab tool for Christmas, which is going to be pretty fun. So
that's dope.
So we're doing some fun stuff there. And then Firebeard and I host the Homegrown Hashishin podcast. We try to drop episodes right now we're dropping them every other Thursday. There's a whole first season with me, the original host, Don't Worry Be Hashy, and now we've got Firebeard in there, but it's worth going through there if you're interested in hash. There's a lot of details on there. We talk with people that are professionals. We talk with people that are home growers like us, all through it. And it's been really, I think it's been a fun project just to be able to get together. And I don't know how it is for you, but like my network of people isn't full of people that just love resin.
Yeah, I would say.
So it's fun to get together with people where like people have that passion that I do about it, and to get to have build those relationships has been very gratifying. So check us out on there. If you find us on the Discord, we're happy to get you in. I would love to connect with you, and happy to help however we can get you started.
Fuck yeah, man. I appreciate all your time, all the knowledge drops, all the nerdy deep dives that we've gone through. That's it for now. New episodes drop weekly to help you grow better weed, make better hash. Hit subscribe, leave a review, share with a friend. I'm your host, Ben Owens, and we'll see you next time.
Stay hashy, everyone.